Good morning, Year 6, and welcome to this, our first Jigsaw lesson. It's Mr. Long here, and today we're going to be looking at our strengths and looking at setting ourselves challenging goals. And I thought we'd start this morning's lesson by having a bit of a weekly celebration. And this week we're going to celebrate people who stayed motivated when doing something challenging. Now, I've got three people here, and I wonder if you can recognize any of them. Do you know who this man is? Any ideas? Some of you might recognize him. His name is Walt Disney. Now then, how did Walt Disney overcome some challenges? Did you know he was fired from a newspaper called the Kansas City Star because his editor felt he lacked imagination and had no good ideas? Walt formed his first animation company in Kansas City in 1921, and he made a deal with a distribution company which would ship them his cartoons in New York, and then he would get paid 6 months later. So he wouldn't get paid for 6 months. Unsurprisingly, he was forced to dissolve his company. That means he went broke. And because he couldn't pay his rent, he was reportedly surviving by eating dog food. That's how poor he got. Needless to say, he went on to be nominated for 59 Academy Awards, their Oscars, 59 Oscars, and is probably one of the greatest animators of all time. Who have we got next? Now, we spoke about this lady last term, didn't we? J.K. Rowling. You may remember some of the challenges she overcame. Obviously, she's the author of the hugely successful Harry Potter series. But by the time she'd written her first Harry Potter book, she'd been divorced. She was living on benefits with a child to support. Furthermore, all 12 major publishing companies rejected Harry Potter the first time she tried to get it printed. And finally, a year later, Bloomsbury accepted and extended a very small £1,500 advance. So that means they paid her £1,500 to see if the book would be popular. It says here, no doubt, it was one of the best decisions that publishing company ever made. Do you know who this man is? You might recognize the picture on the left, but do you know who he is? His name is Colonel Sanders. Now then, it's never too late to start a fast food empire. Just look at Colonel Sanders. It wasn't until the age of 62 that Sanders, with $105 Social Security check, that means he had $105, that's about £90, and he pitched his chicken recipe to restaurants. According to reports, some 1,009 people rejected him. Instead of giving up, he hit the road and began trying to sell his franchise model of chicken restaurants, and eventually finding success with a restaurant outside of Utah. It became the first Kentucky Fried Chicken restaurant, and the restaurant tripled sales in a year, mostly from the Colonel's chickens, so from the Colonel's recipe. And now, obviously, it's a worldwide, multi-billion-pound company. So, we've got Colonel Sanders, we've got J.K. Rowling, and we've got Walt Disney, who all overcame really challenging situations to succeed. But you know, I was thinking about this morning, and there's something that all three of them have got in common. And that is that despite the problems they had, they never had to self-isolate, had to stay at home and do remote learning whilst a pandemic was across the world. And that's what you pupils at home all around the area are having to do this week and for a few more weeks yet. And you should be really proud of the fact that if you're watching this lesson now, it means you're at home succeeding, really succeeding in overcoming very challenging situations, because you are learning and you are making an effort to learn. So congratulations to all of you, and keep up the fantastic work you've been doing this week. Now we're going to try a little calm me time. That's what we normally do with the chime. It might be quite difficult for you to do at home, but I think it's still worth doing. I've got my guitar here and I'm going to play one note. I'm going to pluck a string and we're going to listen really carefully to see if we can listen as long as possible and see if we notice when the note disappears. In the meantime, we're going to sit, if we can, with our feet flat on the floor, our hands relaxed in our laps, eyes closed or looking elsewhere. Sorry, I'll turn my phone off so we don't disturb you. And we will try to concentrate on our breathing, breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, slowly and steadily. And as distractions come into our mind, we try to just acknowledge they're there, but then go back to focusing on our breathing. Are you ready? Slowly breathing in and breathing out. Calming your body and calming your mind. If other distractions are at home putting you off, acknowledge they're there, and then try and think about your breathing once again. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. In difficult circumstances, sometimes just spending a few moments to sit quietly, focus on your breathing, which we call mindfulness, is the best solution, the best medicine. Breathe in and breathe out. I'm going to play the note one more time and we'll listen to it disappear, and then we'll get on with the rest of our lesson. Okay, on with the rest of our lesson. Now then, if you haven't got a pencil and a piece of paper to hand, I suggest you pause now and go and get one. You could even use your topic book if you wish, and you could just write Jigsaw as a title and the short date. So pause now if you need to go and get a pen and pencil or to go and open your book. Okay. So I want you to have a look at this list. I want you to think about things that you are good at, your strengths. They may be on this screen at the moment, but they may be other things. So let's have a little look. Are you good at handwriting, reading, science, being a good friend, writing stories, doing maths, listening to others, being helpful, looking after a pet, playing football, computer games, cycling, looking after a brother or sister? I know some of you are doing that. Drawing, netball, running, dance, cooking, music, or something else. I'm sure there's something that you are good at if you think hard. Maybe more than one of those things. Maybe you're not very good at it, but you love doing it anyway. I loved playing rugby when I was a little bit younger. I wasn't very good at it, but I really enjoyed it. And the fact that I enjoyed playing rugby was probably a strength, because it meant that I could join in with other players who were probably better than me. So in your books or on a piece of paper, why don't you write down one or two things that are your strengths, things you're good at or things you love to do. Pause the video if you need time, but write those things down now. So the next thing I want you to do is think about setting yourself some goals this half term, because it's quite easy to do the things we love to do. So if you're good at maths, for example, you might come onto Teams of a morning and say, I know it says that we're supposed to do English first and then maths and then reading skills, but actually I'm going to go straight to maths because that's my favorite, and I'm going to do all of the questions and do all of the ones set us, and then do some gold, and I might even go into mathematics then, because I prefer doing that to English or to science or to reading. And that's perfectly natural that you want to do that. But what I want you to do today is set yourself a challenging goal. It needs to be realistic. So I don't want you to set something like, by the end of lockdown, I want to have learned to fly a jet plane and fly myself to Australia for a nice holiday. We don't want that sort of goal. I want something that you think is achievable, that you find difficult now, but you'd like to be able to do by the end of the term. In fact, I want you to think of two things. I want you to think of one thing to do with school. So maybe an academic thing. Maybe I'd like to get better at my times tables, or a specific times table. I'd like to know my 8 times table and be able to recite it really quickly. Or maybe it's spellings, or maybe it's something else. You choose something from school that you would like to do, to achieve, or to be better at. Then I want you to think about things outside of school. And again, these are really tricky because we can't go to clubs. One of you might be perhaps working towards doing your taekwondo or a karate next belt, or green belt, or a yellow belt. But of course, can't go out and do those things. But just think of something that you can do outside of school that you'd like to be better at. I want you to have a good think about those things. Take your time. Maybe you can draw your own shield, my goal shield, one for school, one for out of school. Take your time, have a think about those goals, and as the weeks go past, we'll see whether we've made any progress in achieving our goals and being successful despite the challenges that we're facing today and in the coming days. This is Friday morning. I hope you have a good day today and a lovely weekend to all of you Year 6, and I'll speak to you again on Monday. Take care. Bye-bye.